2001. The storm clouds of anger and outrage have been building for weeks, from politicians and students, gay rights campaigners and women's groups, reporters for homophobic tabloids and liberal broadsheets. As Eminem sleeps in the private jet ferrying him from Paris to the opening Manchester engagement of his UK tour, the British are reviling, dissecting and supporting him with an intensity reserved only for the most terrible folk devils and startling pop stars. He's being pursued from America by accusations of real violence and hurt. His own mother, Debbie Mavis Briggs, wants $10 million for the distress he has caused her. His wife Kim is considering divorce and has recently slashed her wrists over his rap's insensitive insults. They say he pistol whipped the man for kissing her and waved the gun at another all in one night. But it's the raps on his last record, the Marshall Mathers LP, the thoughts on his mind that disturb and distress Britain the most. He claims to have slaughtered O.J. Simpson's wife, to have armed the Columbine killers. He taunts women and homosexuals. He wants to kill his father and his mother and his own wife. That's why 100 gay rights protesters gather outside the Manchester Evening News Arena in the hours before he takes the stage. Why his hockey mask chainsaw wielding image is on the cover of every newspaper the next morning. Why police will barge into his dressing room after the show only to find him vanished, slipped away in the night. His hysteria whipped to a frenzy rarely seen since the Sex Pistols, sucking in commentators and members of the public with no normal interest in pop. And, like a fever, with those people it passes quickly. But, as I take the train to attend that Manchester show, I know Eminem has provoked deeper discussion. The Marshall Mathers LP, and, in particular, its recent #1 single, Stan, the schizoid, self-reflective story of Eminem's fans' mad love for his idol, has stopped all my friends cold. One female friend semi-seriously offers sex for any spare tickets I might find. Another friend, who likes classical music, plays Stan over and over at a party. Fascinated, and when Eminem's name is mentioned, it's impossible to talk about him for less than an hour, and then someone new will start the conversation again. Is it alright to laugh at him? Is it okay to adore him? He's simply too arresting, too ambiguously, coherently furious to ignore. On the Marshall Mathers LP, he has danced with glee on every embarrassing social fault line in America, embraced every disgraceful and awkwardly hateful side of his country, from bullying misogynist machismo to homophobia. His excuse? Pardon the cliche, but I'm just a product of my environment. America made me. He grew up, it's been revealed, on the wrong side of the tracks, a white boy in the black half of Detroit's poorest district, the son of an impoverished single mother. He was beaten almost to death and shot at by his black neighbours for his skin colour, and yet the heroes of this racially abused white were black rappers, and now he walks among them, the wildest of them all, like some twisted photo negative of civil rights dream. American politicians and pressure groups shake nervous fingers at his unnatural preeminence. But Eminem's music skips around its earnest accusers because he's more sophisticated than them, in a way as important as his racial transgressions. As a child fan of gangster rap's fantasies who grew up in the real-life ghetto, he understands perfectly the difference between exaggerated art and grim reality. This has freed him to explore extreme emotional places that his country, so much happier censoring rappers than addressing real racially divided ghettos, poverty and gunplay, would rather think didn't exist. All these things run through my head as I enter the Evening News Arena minutes before this lightning rod figure takes the stage. The protesters have melted away long ago. Only the 28-year-old Marshall Mathers himself is left, to face the expectations of 16,000 young fans and the fascination of the rest of Britain waiting to hear what the monster really looked like and the awful things he did. But the man I watched for the next 90 minutes is the very opposite of a monster. Instead, when the horror movie hockey mask in which he enters is removed, his charisma fades like the Wizard of Oz. He looks short and slight, gym work not obscuring the vulnerable, pasty playground victim he once was. An expensive set and a cartoon intermission, and the sharing of rapping duties with his band of adolescent Detroit friends, D12, all seem designed to distract attention from the most infamous, supposedly fearless pop star in the world. He doesn't look likely to pistol whip anyone or to rape his mother. Instead, he concentrates on gently talking to the mostly teen or under crowd, making sure that these children are in on the joke, trusting them not to do as his lyrics suggest. He ludicrously makes them all claim they're drug addicts to bring these people who like him closer and to push his credulous adult critics away. The great misogynist even brings a teenage girl fan on stage and treats her with such deference that she could be his own daughter. He seems desperate to destroy the hysteria he's provoked, to return to being an entertainer. In the flesh, his extremist art and timid reality seem separated by chasms. His rage only resurfaces at the end when rounding on his critics. He barks the chorus of another of his infamous hits, "I am whatever you say I am." In truth, he's so much more, and less. The real story of who he is begins 28 years before and 4,000 miles away. It takes us back to the eerie industrial ruins of Detroit, USA.